I think backpacking is a really symbolic thing, and a lot of the lessons that are learned out here can be applied to regular life. Well, this is it. This is the final section on my hike across the UP. I'm walking out to Craig Lake with John right now. Oh, John.
Howdy.
And we took my car out here and he'll be driving it back into Marquette. But then from here, I'll be walking into Marquette right up to my front door. So I think that'll be a pretty appropriate way to end this whole hike. My last section was the first big backpacking trip I've done in the winter, and it was pretty difficult. It was so cold, and I wasn't entirely prepared for it, so I plan on being pretty comfortable this time.
What do you have for food?
I'm excited about that this time. That was one thing I learned with the last section, is that I can pretty much bring out whatever kind of food I want. I have 3 pasties, a steak, a couple ice cream bars, chicken tenders, and the rest of it's the same kind of dry food. But I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, you're eating good, man.
Well, this is going to be it for me. I'm walking back. Sun's about to set right now. So it's time for me to hit the old snowy trail. Close enough. So let's tune on a stick.
Destruction. Nice chaos.
See ya. I'm breaking trail right now, and I'm just assuming that that's how it's going to be for most of this section. And that is a lot of work. And I can already tell that this is going to be the hardest section by far. Got about 65 miles from here to Marquette, which is a good 25 miles longer than I did for my last winter section, and that one was hard enough. But since this is the last section, I thought I'd do kind of a grand finale kind of thing. Usually I budget myself about 5 days for these sections, and for a lot of them it doesn't even take that long. But for this one I've given myself 6 days, so I kind of hope it doesn't take that long, but it might. But right now I'm heading off of Teddy Lake and going towards Craig Lake, and I'll look for a place to camp there. And that'll be it for today. I'm actually a little bit lost right now. I know generally where I am, but I don't really know where the trail is. I took a shortcut by walking across Craig Lake because the NCT kind of follows the shoreline for a while. So now I'm just looking for the trail where I can link up with it. I think I'm kind of generally going the right direction. I should intersect it eventually, but that's no guarantee. I found it. I found a blaze. Just when I was about to give up and head back out on the lake, I decided to just hike on for another 5 minutes. I've noticed that with most times that people get lost, as soon as they decide to give up, usually the thing that they're looking for is just another like 5 minutes away. It always feels a little bit farther than it should be. But if you just keep hiking, you usually get there. Already I can tell this is going to be a pretty different hike compared to my last winter section. But the big difference is how much snow there is now. In the last section there was maybe a foot, and here there's a good 3 feet. It's just going to be a lot more work and a lot more miles. But I still have to get somewhere between 10 and 15 miles per day. That just means not very many breaks. Well, since this is the last section of the whole UP, I thought I'd talk about the series as a whole. Well, ever since I moved up to the UP about 5 or 6 years ago, I discovered my 2 favorite things, which are hiking and photography. So it was almost right away that I decided that I was going to try and make a career out of that, whatever that might look like. So with a real spontaneous decision, I decided to just hike across the UP on the North Country Trail, just because I was already living in Marquette, and the backpacking up here is pretty amazing, especially considering it's only in the Midwest. I'm kind of addicted to backpacking now, and I need it to balance out my regular life. And the way that I look at the projects that I'm working on right now is that they're just practice. I want to get to the point where I'm good enough that I can actually build a career out of this. So that's kind of what this whole series has been about. Well, that's the one thing that you really have to try to avoid when you're out here hiking in the winter. Just getting anything wet is kind of a big deal. And I just soaked my whole left foot. I guess that means I'm gonna have to spend some time trying to dry that out tonight over the fire. That was just a big morale killer. I'm not sure that was worth it. Backpacking isn't just physically demanding. It can also be a pretty tough mental test too. Normally I wouldn't make a mistake like that, but in a situation that's so physically stressful, it's hard to think straight too. Back there I knew that the ice wasn't really that thick, but I needed to get some liquid water, so I pushed it just a little bit too far, trying to reach that open spot. And I paid the price. And out here the consequences are immediate, and they are very real. Well, so far, all I can really say about this section is that it has been absolutely grueling. I knew it was going to be hard, but I think I still underestimated how hard it would be. The snow is deep and my pack is really heavy. It's like every step takes at least twice as much energy as it would in the summer. And my legs are just pretty much dead already. It's times like these that I find myself questioning what I'm even doing out here. My body hurts, and to be honest, I'm really not having a whole lot of fun right now. But then I think back to the past hikes that I've done that have been really hard, and the only memories that come back are good memories. It's a weird thing, because it's so hard and painful while you're doing it, but once it's over, there's a lot of good things that stick with you. And I'm sure after this is over, in a week or two, I'll actually find myself daydreaming about being back out here, because this is just a totally unique experience, and you can't have this kind of experience without suffering a little bit. And the more often that you put yourself through this kind of stuff, the easier it gets. It's never easy, but it does get a little bit easier. And the rewards are completely intangible. But I must be doing something, because I keep finding myself back out here in these really tough situations. I'm so exhausted right now that this pasty doesn't even taste very good. At this point, I'm just hoping I can keep it down. All I really want to do is just get in my sleeping bag. Hope I feel better tomorrow. It's day 3. And it's still snowing. It let up a little bit last night, but it started right back up this morning. I think we've probably gotten like 4 inches just since I've started. I'm definitely in a better mood this morning. Slept really good last night. I definitely needed that. But I know that today is going to be just as exhausting, if not more, than yesterday. So I'm just guessing that my mood will probably deteriorate throughout the day as I get more exhausted. But I think that over time I'll begin to acclimate to this weather a little bit better. Already this morning it wasn't that hard to get out of bed. It felt warmer than it was actually. So maybe I'm starting to get used to this. That's all I can hope for, at least. You know what's better than a Snickers? A frozen Snickers. I just entered the McCormick Wilderness Tract, and I've hiked here before, and none of the NCT is blazed here. So this should be kind of interesting. Luckily, very, very luckily, somebody has actually hiked through here before. And this is the first sign of human footprints I've seen on this whole section. But we'll see how long that lasts. I'd be kind of surprised if these tracks take me all the way through the wilderness tract. I do have GPS on my phone with a map of the NCT, so I might have to revert to that. I try not to break that out unless I really need it. But if these snowshoe tracks end, I'm gonna have no idea where to go. That other person's snowshoe tracks that I was following before has turned around by now. So I'm totally on my own. Blue sky! I haven't seen that in a couple days. That would be nice if it stopped snowing for a little bit. I thought I was moving at a slow pace before, but now that I'm having a hard time even staying on the trail, I'm moving at an even slower pace. I'm constantly stopping to check my phone, and a lot of the times I'm finding out that I'm not on the trail. The McCormick Wilderness was only 6 miles long, so I should have been able to get through that no problem today. But at this point now, I'll just be happy if I can get out of here before it gets dark. I've got maybe an hour and a half of light left, and still a couple miles to go. The pace that I've had so far is pretty much like a mile an hour, and there's not much I can do about it. I've been taking as little breaks as possible, but it's such hard work, I need to take a lot of breaks. So it's kind of a bad paradox to be stuck in. When you're having a hard day, sometimes the littlest things can bring a lot of joy. Those little tape markers have been very inconsistent, but every once in a while one will show up, and it feels really good just to know that I am going the right way, and to actually see where the trail goes for the next 50 feet or something. It's just a little bit of reassurance when I am constantly getting lost. It's getting dark again already, and I still have at least a mile and a half until I'm out of the McCormick Wilderness. This whole day has been a lot of taking 2 steps forward and 1 step backwards. Just looking for the trail. I think it goes this way. Look at that. It's a blue blaze. That means I'm out of the McCormick Wilderness. Navigation should be a little bit easier from here on out. I'm feeling a lot better tonight than I was last night. I think I just paced myself a little bit smarter today. But with that being said, I still didn't cover nearly as much distance as I should have. And it's becoming pretty clear that I'm not going to be able to finish this section on time. Either I'm going to run out of time or I'm going to run out of food. Whichever comes first. So I've already been starting to formulate some backup plans. I'm not really sure what it's going to come down to at this point. This is only the 3rd day and I have 6 days worth of food. So I don't have to make any decisions yet. But I'm getting the feeling that I'm going to have to cut this section short, and I'll probably have John pick me up at some point. But that's going to be a real tough decision because I've never had to cut a hike short before. So I guess that just shows how hard this is and how much I underestimated how hard it would be. I think I only did about 9 miles yesterday, and that's rounding up. In order to finish in time, I decided that I would have to average about 12 miles a day, and that's definitely not going to be happening. It's trips like this that make me realize how much of a mental game this is. Of course it's physically demanding, but that can be expected, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that. But there is a lot that you can do about your mental state. When something is this tough, it's real easy to get pessimistic, and you start to get tunnel vision just on getting to the finish line, and that's all you end up thinking about. But that takes all of the joy away from the current moment that you're hiking, and it makes the rest of the hike pretty miserable, because the finish line always seems way too far away, and it feels like you're never going to get there. It's amazing how much better of a mood I am in today, simply because I'm following a blazed trail again. Yesterday in the McCormick Wilderness was just really frustrating, and it's stressful, and that's a big drain on your energy as well. So one of the many things that backpacking has taught me is just to have control over my state of mind. And if I can do that, whatever experience it is, it's usually a lot better. It's 25 degrees today, so that's a good 10 degrees warmer than it has been throughout most of this section. So since it's so nice out and it's not snowing, I thought I'd actually take a sit-down break for lunch. I actually cooked something, so this is pretty nice. I just found some old snowmobile tracks, and my legs feel weird because this is the hardest surface that I've walked on in a few days. But it's so easy. I got too excited. I was only supposed to cross over the snowmobile tracks, not walk down them. Back into the deep snow. Since I've accepted that this is way above my comfort zone, I'm gonna have to be smart about how I spend my energy. And one way I can do that is by taking shortcuts. In a few miles, the Silver Lake Basin will be coming up, and that's a pretty big reservoir. But if that basin is frozen over, I can just get down on the lake and do a straight line all the way across. Should cut off at least a mile, and at the rate that I'm going, that'll save me at least an hour. So the NCT actually skirts along the lake up on the top of this ridgeline here, and there's a ton of ups and downs, lots of puds up there, and it's nice and flat down here, so I'm pretty glad to be walking on the lake. I can tell that I've acclimated to the cold by now, because there's a pretty brisk wind coming off this lake, and it actually feels kind of good. It's keeping me from sweating at least. I probably still have almost a mile to go before I'm off the lake, but then I'll meet back up with the NCT. Probably go a little bit farther and look for a place to camp tonight. It's day 5, and it's snowing a lot out there, so I'm going to try and do as much as I can inside the tent, then I'll just pack up and get walking as quick as possible. I am really sick of this snow. I was not happy to wake up to this morning. There's probably a good couple inches on top of my tent. It's funny how some things have kind of flipped around from usual on this hike. Because on this hike, I'm actually really enjoying the road walking. It's so much easier that my mind has been freed up and I can actually look around a little bit and try and appreciate what I'm walking through. This kind of feels like regular hiking. But for today, I have about a 12-mile road walk ahead of me. So it's probably going to be a pretty uneventful day. You guys know what a trail angel is?
No.
Well, you guys are trail angels now. Just anybody who kind of goes out of their way to help somebody, help a hiker or anything. So, it's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, no problem, man.
What are your names?
Cody and Josh.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, you saved me a whole bunch of time and effort.
Oh, yeah.
Now I might be able to get a little bit farther than I was hoping to, too.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
You can always count on a Yooper to help you out when you need it. Those guys were heading into Marquette, and they offered to take me all the way there. It was pretty tempting, but I still have a couple days of food left, so I might as well at least run that out. But they did drop me off a little bit farther down the road than the NCT goes. So this will actually be another shortcut for me. I'm starting at the Noquamanon trailhead, which is a cross-country ski trail that actually goes all the way into Marquette. So at this point, it looks like I might be able to hike all the way back home. I had kind of given up on that idea for the past couple days, but this random act of trail magic may have just saved the hike for me. That should hold for now. Well, that's new. Now I actually have mile counters, or well, in this case, kilometer counters. 22 kilometers till the end of the Noquamanon Trail, and that's Marquette. And I just passed the 10-kilometer sign on the Noquamanon Trail. I think that comes out to like 4 or 5 miles left. My legs are killing me, but 4 miles is really not that far, and it doesn't seem worth it to set up camp. So I'm gonna push it because that's a lot better than the alternative, which is spending another night out here. If I would have had to have hiked the entire NCT and stayed strictly to the trail, this would have taken me at least 2 more days. I think overall, the two biggest things that I've taken away from this is not to underestimate things, but also just how much I can accomplish when I don't really have a choice. For example, on this section, I was ready to give up by the end of day 2, but I had no choice. I had to keep going. And I didn't even think that I was going to be able to hike into Marquette. But with a little bit of luck, it looks like I'm actually going to be able to hike up to my front door. And this has been the hardest hike that I've ever had to do. Alright, I'll ask you what I asked the other guys who gave me a ride. Do you know what a trail angel is?
No.
Well, you're a trail angel now.
Excellent.
Anybody who kind of goes out of their way to like help a hiker or anything.
Cool.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
You just saved me maybe half an hour of walking, but
Glad to help.
my feet are fucking killing me.
I bet. Yeah, go take a load off.
Yep. So I'm ready to go eat some food.
Good.
So thanks.